If you've ever started a new RimWorld colony and spent 10 minutes smashing the randomize button, hoping for a colonist who isn't incapable of hauling, cooking, or basic human decency, then congratulations, you already understand why Prepare Carefully exists. RimWorld is a story generator disguised as a management sim, and Prepare Carefully is the mod that says, what if the story doesn't start with randomness, but with intention? At its core, Prepare Carefully replaces RimWorld's standard pawn randomization with a full character creation suite. Which means you don't just reroll pawns, you build them, create your own pawns. You can edit appearance and names, skills and traits, backstories, health conditions and scars, apparel, weapons, items, and starting resources, even relationships with other pawns. And the best part, you can not only design the pawns you start with, but also those that are part of the world. So instead of accepting whatever the RNG gods throw at you, Prepare Carefully hands you the keys and says, go ahead, design your own disaster. Let's say you want a colony with a theme, a backstory, maybe a family, or a cult, a squad of hardened veterans, or just 3 crash-landed scientists with exactly 0 social skills. Prepare Carefully is perfect for that. Instead of a brawler with asthma, a pacifist sniper, and a misandrous pyromaniac who refuses to clean or haul, you can start with colonists who actually make sense together. So let's go over some of the details, shall we? We start with the Characters tab. On the left, you can select if you want to create your pawns for your colony or the world. Add, remove, load, and move them to the world or back to the colony. The Save button for a colonist is on the top right side of the panels, next to the name. If you add a new pawn, it's randomized. And this is where the fun begins, shaping your own pawns. A new pawn will be a random adult baseliner, but that also can be changed. If you want your new pawn to be a pigskin child, make the choice with these 2 selectors and click the dice. After that, start changing what you want. Hair, face, beard, body type, take your pick. Next, add or remove apparel. For the purpose of this video, I give the child a beret it can wear. I've decided that our pawn is royalty, so he gets a title. Let's make our pawn a baron and give him the ability Acid Spray. Why not? If you hover over the ability description, it will show you what the ability actually does. Now we set the age of our pawn, biological and chronological. Since our pawn is still a child, it can't be older than 12 biological years. At the age of 13, he or she becomes an adult. The chronological age tells you how long the pawn was in cryosleep. The highest value is 3,200 years, if you want to set it that high. After that, the backstory of your pawn. Normally you can set 2 backstories for your pawn, which define which skills he or she is good in and what he or she is incapable of. If your pawn is a child, you can't select anything, so let me switch back to an adult pawn. As you can see, you can now select 2 backstories for your pawn, childhood and adulthood. Hover over the text to see what this story changes for your pawn. You will notice it will add points to certain skills or disable others. In our case, our pawn was a technical kid which gives him bonuses to construction, animals, crafting and medical, but he won't do art. As an adult, he was an acolyte of the stars, which gives him bonuses to artistic and medical, but reduces his social and intellectual skills. Also, it disables his ability to hunt, haul or clean. If you are not satisfied with the results, you can change your choices, or increase or decrease the skill points to your liking. Now let's give him some traits next. If you want to surprise yourself, hit the dice button and get random traits, some good, some bad. Or open the menu and pick the traits you like. You can add as many traits as you want. Let's add the pessimist trait to the list. Same goes for his health. You can remove existing conditions and add new ones. I will add a tentacle to his shoulder and give him an alcohol addiction. Seriously, who would blame him? And maybe he has asthma in his right lung. As it turns out, our new colonist didn't have it easy in his old life. Who knows where he got that tentacle from? But instead of a tentacle, I could have given him a bionic arm, which would have made him more effective at mining. Or bionic implants, which maybe would have made him more resistant against certain diseases. Now might be a good time to save that character if you want. You don't have to, but if you want to use him again in a later game, the button is in the top right corner. If you have set up all the pawns you wanted, you can also save them as a preset. Both buttons for saving and loading presets can be found at the bottom of the screen. The Relationship tab. Here we can set up relationships between the characters of our colony with characters in the world. Even unknown random characters. They can be married or ex-lovers. Everything is possible. In this example, our pawn Dweeb has 2 kids and a husband that's unknown. He's not part of the starting colony, but perhaps will reveal himself during a raid or a friendly visit. Now the Equipment tab. In this tab you can define the starting equipment of your colony. You can add what you want to your equipment pool. Want to start with a herd of 20 alpacas? Go right ahead. Add them and set the amount. Repeat this for everything else you want to add. The last part I want to briefly mention is the points system. It's an optional system that tracks how many points you spend on equipment or your individual pawns. Every skill, trait, item and advantage has a cost. Hover over the text to see how many points each of your pawns and your equipment is worth. Use as many points as you want. Nobody is going to stop you. In theory, you can use this to keep your start balanced. In practice, it's more like a gentle suggestion. You can absolutely min-max the system if you want. Or turn it off entirely and go full god mode. The mod doesn't judge you. It simply asks one question. What kind of story are you trying to tell? So, is using Prepare Carefully cheating? I don't know. You tell me. You can argue that it undermines RimWorld's core randomness, that suffering through bad pawns is part of the experience, and you would be right. But you can also make an argument for, I already suffered, for 2000 hours. And honestly, both sides are right. The mod doesn't make RimWorld easier by default. It makes it deliberate. You are trading surprise for authorship, to a certain degree. Instead of the game surprising you with who your colonists are, you surprise the game with what you throw into its systems. Prepare Carefully also has its limitations. The mod works only at colony start. Once the game begins, that's it. No mid-game edits, no retroactive fixes. If your perfect colonist loses a leg to a squirrel, that's still RimWorld. And probably on you, because you didn't pay attention. Or you did and just wanted to watch the madness unfold. Also, and this is important, because Prepare Carefully bypasses RimWorld's normal pawn generation, it can conflict with some heavily modded setups, especially custom races or complex body systems, or deep gene or health mods. If you are sporting hundreds of mods or extreme mod lists, there might be other alternatives. But Prepare Carefully remains popular because it's simple, fast and focused. Despite that, Prepare Carefully remains one of the most iconic RimWorld mods ever made, because it solves a universal problem. The start of a RimWorld game is sacred. It's the moment where you decide what kind of colony this will be, what kind of people you're responsible for, and what kind of story you want to suffer through. It doesn't remove RimWorld's cruelty, it just lets you choose how you walk into it. If you love RimWorld for its chaos, pain and unexpected twists, this mod won't ruin that. It simply changes the opening line. Instead of 3 random people crash landed, you start with, here's exactly why this was a terrible idea. And from there, RimWorld does what RimWorld always does. Now, let me know in the comments what you think about Prepare Carefully. Do you use the mod? In what way? It is one of the mods I always use when starting a new colony. I don't want surprises with my colonists when I start a new game. What comes afterwards is another story. If you liked the video, please consider giving it a like and hitting the subscribe button. It means and helps a lot. Thank you for watching. Until next time.